Hi guys, and thank you for watching my Scary Movie Month movie reviews. Last week we watched John Carpenter's Halloween, and this week we watched another one of John Carpenter's movies, The Thing. This film is about a group of American scientists who are working in an isolated Antarctic research center in the dead of winter. When a separate group of Norwegian scientists discover an extraterrestrial life form buried beneath thousand-year-old ice, they uncover it and unintentionally bring it back to life. By the time they realize what they've done, it is too late, and disguised as a dog, the extraterrestrial invades the American scientist base camp. It quickly reveals itself to be an alien, or what we're going to call the Thing. And the American scientists learn that it is a creature that survives by absorbing other living things and imitating its cells to the point where it can disguise itself as any other living organism. One by one, the Thing starts to attack and absorb the American scientists until it is unclear who is still human and who has been assimilated. This movie is really about a few men's attempt to save themselves and the rest of humanity from infection and ultimate transformation into the Thing. So, we've already established our antagonist. Perhaps the scariest thing about this creature is that it can disguise itself as anything, and it could literally be anyone around us at any point. And really, we have no clear idea of what it actually looks like. It's also extremely easy to become infected and assimilated, so really you yourself can be infected and not even realize it yet. So in an immediate sense, that is what's scary about the Thing. However, on a broader scale, it is scary to think about how much more advanced this creature is than human beings. Its survival skills are impeccable, and it can survive almost in any environment. It seems like if the Thing desired, it could easily infect all human beings and wipe them off the face of the earth. But the possibility that humans being destroyed is nature's will, that, like the dinosaurs, humanity's time is up, and this creature that appears to be much higher on the evolutionary scale is about to take over, that is what is so scary about this movie. But what is a story really without hope? Hope that we might stand a chance against this creature. Our protagonist and main character that feeds us that sense of hope is McReady, played by Kurt Russell. McReady is the helicopter pilot for the group of scientists, and he's kind of a tough guy, and he's always the first to take action. Because of his confidence and courage, the other team members usually look towards him as the leader. After the Americans discover the videotapes of the Norwegians uncovering the mysterious creature and what appears to be a spacecraft, McReady insists that they fly over to the site and investigate. After studying the findings, he starts to theorize about what the creature is and where it came from. And then Blair, one of the doctors on the crew, decides to do some investigating of his own, and he's the one who actually discovers the creature's ability to assimilate other creatures' cells and to imitate them. When he's alone on his computer, you see his computer screen and you see that it is calculating that there's a 75% chance that one or more of the team members has already been infected by the creature. And finally, he discovers the most important fact, that if the intruder organism reaches a civilized area, it will infect the entire world population in 27,000 hours. After Blair finds this fact out, he basically reaches his breaking point and starts shooting up the lab and trying to destroy everything because he's saying that they can't let this infection grow outside of the camp. And so they have to sedate him, and they end up locking him outside in a shed outside of the camp. So one by one, the different American scientist team members get infected by the intruder cells, and they have to be destroyed, and to be exact, they have to be burned alive in order to kill them. On a side note, if you watch this movie for no other reason, please watch it for its visual effects. The alien creature for this movie is amazingly designed. It is this jumbled mess of flesh and goo, with the only real structure really is a mismatch of other creatures that it's absorbed, and it's awesome and it's amazing, and the sound effects are so cool. So if you don't watch it for any other reason, please just check out how interesting and unique this alien is. Anyway, one by one, the team members become infected, and you have to kill them every time they get infected. And so the trust levels start to go way down, and people become really suspicious, and you really don't know who is still human and who has been assimilated. When one of the team members finds a shredded piece of McReady's clothing, suspicions turn to him. He assures everyone he is still human, and basically holds them all hostage by threatening to blow up the camp. Then this next scene is amazing. This is my favorite scene in the movie. McReady grabs a flamethrower and forces everyone to sit down on the couch and tie themselves down. He comes up with the idea to test everybody's blood. So he heats up a really hot needle, and his theory is if he puts the needle into each puddle of blood, if you're human, nothing will happen. If you have been assimilated and if you are part alien, the blood will react violently and try to escape being hurt, because its main objective is to survive. And it's made up of all these little parts, so the blood will react separately as if it's its own being. So he takes a sample of everybody's blood and then heats up a needle really hot. So at first, the other teammates are pretty reluctant. They don't really have a choice since he's forcing them to by flamethrower, but they are a little relieved as they start to find out who is still human. And the suspense is almost unbearable as McReady sticks the hot needle into each puddle of blood and it just kind of fizzles out for those who are still human. Just when we think we've figured out who the infected team member is, McReady slides the needle into another petri dish and the blood just jumps out of the dish and it's screeching like an injured animal. So the team member they discovered to be infected is still tied to the couch and he starts convulsing like crazy and his human disguise melts off in a bloody mess. The creature attacks another team member and after a long chaotic struggle, McReady ends up torching 2 of them. And suddenly we realize there are only 5 team members left, including Blair, who was locked up in a shack outside for going crazy earlier. McReady and 2 other team members go outside to check on Blair, and Childs stays behind to watch over the camp. They discover that Blair has been building a spacecraft and that he is probably most definitely infected as well. That is when McReady makes the decision. We're just gonna have to heat things up around here. We're not getting out of here alive, but neither is that thing. McReady and his team set off a series of explosives and destroy the entire lab. And then finally, with their largest explosive, they head down to the tunnel that Blair has been building where the spacecraft is. And while McReady is setting up the explosive, he calls to the other team members for help and there is no response. And then he quickly realizes that he may be the only one left. Suddenly, McReady is confronted directly by the creature in its largest form. They struggle for a bit and he sets off his final large bomb, and in a giant explosion, the creature is destroyed. And McReady crawls away safely into the snow. At this point, McReady appears to be the hero we were hoping for, the one who has saved the human race. Then, Childs shows up, who has been missing for quite some time, and he asks McReady if he's the only survivor. McReady asks where Childs has been, and Childs gives him a vague and uninformative response. He joins McReady in the snow and asks him, "How will we survive?" And then McReady says, "Maybe we shouldn't." McReady hands his bottle of whiskey to Childs. Childs takes a swig, and McReady chuckles. And it is completely unclear whether McReady thinks that Childs is infected or not. We're really not sure if McReady has given up or if he has some secret plan of destroying Childs as well, because the movie ends there. We are not given the comfort or satisfaction of a conclusion or an answer. We are left to wonder what the fate of humanity is. I would love to hear your guys' opinion on whether you think Childs at the end of the movie was infected or not. I have my own opinion about it. I'll give you I believe that Childs was infected for a couple of reasons. One, because the scary music starts to play again and it just doesn't suggest a happy ending, which to me means, you know, there's something lurking around the corner. There's more to this story. Also, I don't think it's a coincidence that much earlier in the movie, when they're kind of figuring things out about how this creature works, Childs is the one that asks, in specifically this way, "If I was a perfect imitation, how would you know it was really me?" He's just asking hypothetically, but I don't think it was a coincidence that Childs is the one that asks that, and then we're asking ourselves that at the end of the movie. If he's a perfect imitation, how would you know it was really him or not? So what is iconic about this movie? And I'm going to go ahead and say that it is the title of the movie. It is not called The Alien, it is not called The Thing from Outer Space, it is just called The Thing, because it is not one thing. It is everything, it is multiple things, and it is mysterious and enticing, and it is very iconic. Does this movie rely on suspense or shock? I like this movie because I feel like it has a pretty even balance of suspense, shock, and gore, which are all elements, they're all methods of scaring people in scary movies. And I think the story overall is just a suspenseful story because one by one you're finding out who is an alien and who is a human. But whenever the alien reveals itself, it's usually through shock. You kind of never really slowly realize someone's an alien. He usually just suddenly turns into one and attacks you. So there's suspense, shock, and then a lot of gore. Like I said before, the visual effects are amazing, and especially for a movie from the 80s, and it's just pretty gross to look at. Overall, this is definitely one of my top 10 favorite films, scary or not, just favorite top 10 films, because it's a puzzle and it has so many little bits of information, and I find out more about the story every time I watch it. It's more complex than the other two movies I reviewed this month, and I feel like I could go on forever about the little clues that the filmmakers use to kind of cue you in as to who's been infected and who hasn't. Because if you pay really close attention, there are clues that tell you before you even find out in the movie. It's just like following a riddle or a puzzle. And I could go into great detail about it, but I want you guys to watch it and find out for yourselves. Like, watch it several times and see what kind of cues the filmmaker gives you to tell you if someone's been assimilated or not. I hope you guys enjoyed The Thing as much as I did. I encourage you to go watch it a second and a third and a fourth time and see what kind of things you notice this time. Next week we're going to be watching Scream from 1996. And I'm really excited. This is the last movie we're going to be watching for Scary Movie Month. Thank you guys for sticking with me all this time. Please watch it. I really want to hear what you guys think. This is such a fun, scary teen slasher movie. So, yep, thank you guys for watching. I look forward to talking to you guys next week about Scream. Have a terrifying October, and I will see you next week.